Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'm Lee, and in this video I'll show you how I painted the Godspeaker from the Darkoath Savages. Here's the Godspeaker, and this is how we're going to get her painted by the end of the video. And I used the card as a reference and also some of the images from the Red Harvest book, and the idea with this is to go for a quick and easy tabletop ready miniature using mostly contrast paints and some dry brushing. I've already painted the Slaughterborn and the Proven, so they're on the channel already, and so using the techniques from this video and those two videos, you'll be able to paint the whole warband for the Darkoath Savages. In this video we'll mostly be using contrast paints, some shades, some base paints and also some Vallejo paints as well, and the brushes I use in this video are a very vegan makeup brush, the Citadel layer small brush, and then just a scruffy old big brush. Right, let's get started with this crazy looking model, and so I primed her first of all with the Citadel colour Wraithbone Contrast Undercoat Spray, and I think this is great for using with contrast paints. The first paint then I used was Contrast Basilicanum Grey, and here we're going to get a big brush and just cover the base with this, avoiding the skull and as much of the model as possible, so just one thick coat all over the base. While that's drying, I took some Skeleton Horde contrast and just painted in the skull that we can see on the base there, and so nice thick generous coat of that. And then once that had all completely dried, I took some Sky Grey 0.989 from Vallejo, my very vegan makeup brush with some super soft bristles. I just put a little bit of paint on the cardboard there, and I'm going to work that into the bristles, then use the card to get a lot of that paint worked in, and then take the kitchen roll and just get as much paint as I can off the brush. And then when I'm happy, I'll just go gently at first to dry brush all around the base, bringing out that raised area. And once I'm happy how much paint's going to come off, I can be a little bit rougher. And I'm not too worried if any of this goes on the model itself, because we can tidy that up later. Then I took some contrast Guilliman flesh, and this is the colour I'm going to use for all the skin of this model. So I'm going in and not putting too much on, but still a fair amount, and then I'm starting and ending my brushstrokes where I want most of that paint to build up in those recesses, and then I can push and pull it around with my brush. On the face here, you've got quite a lot of surface area, especially with those deep eye sockets, so it can take quite a fair amount of paint, and so I'm just pushing it in, working my way around the model, picking out the arms, the hands, and all the exposed flesh. Then I'm going to take some base Leadbelcher, and this is going to block in any metal parts. Now whether they're silver or gold, I'm going to start with Leadbelcher. So these little rune stones, there's some little rings on the belt, some little loops holding on these skulls, and she's got a little bracelet there as well. So just go around the model, take your time and pick out all these little bits of metal. Then with some Wraithbone base paint, it's a really good idea to, at different stages throughout the paint process, just to stop and tidy up any areas where you've gone over it with other paint. So here I'm just picking out all the bits I've gone over. I hope you've been enjoying these daily videos, and I'd just like to say thanks to all my Patreon supporters that are making this possible. And if you'd like to join Patreon, it'd be great to see you there. And I've also set up the membership on YouTube now as well. So if you want to join that, you can click the join button down below. Right, back to the painting. Now I'll take some contrast Flesh Tearers Red. This is a really deep, dark red, really nice colour. And this is going to be for the inside and the outside of the cloak. And for a large area like this, you can get away with quite a lot of paint. I'm still only using a small brush though, but you might want to go with a bigger brush for this stage. But here I'm just putting it all over, and you can see I've got quite a bit on the actual model there, but I'm using that pool and then pushing and pulling the paint around from there. So if you ever find you've put too much on though, just take your brush, run it across some kitchen towel to soak up the excess paint, and then you can go back to the model and that brush will soak up the paint from the model too. So that's a good way to just get rid of that paint if you put too much on. Then it's some contrast Black Templar next, and here we're going to do the dress. And so again, quite a lot of surface area, so a little bit more paint, not completely flooding it though, I'm not going crazy, and so I'm in control of that paint as much as I can be. Now I made a big mistake here. You can see I'm painting across what I thought was the dress, but it's actually her skin. But rather than tidying it up, I thought it looked quite cool actually, and so I just went with it. It almost looks like 2 layers of material, so I've just kind of kept the mistake. And rather than having a low-cut dress, which is probably a bit weird for this hag anyway, I think this one suits her, and so I've gone for that. And so I kept going, covering that dress with a nice thick amount of paint, and then just pushing and pulling it round, Then on the back we've got this crazy wing from some bat-like creature, so that's going to get a coat of Black Templar too. Then we're on to Contrast Aggaros Dunes next, and this is just a little bit to go over this little pouch here. Then some Snakebite leather, a great colour. This is going to be for the leather bindings and straps that we can see. So again, just picking them out, take your time, make sure you don't miss anything. We've got lots of bindings on all these crazy bones and horns, so just give them a nice coat. Then it's time for Contrast Skeleton Horde again, but this time we're going to use it on the different parts of the model itself, like this skull on this staff, and also those really big bones on the back that she's got on that headrest. And you can also see some skulls on the back too. So a really nice piece here with lots of detail going on. Then I'm going to take some Contrast Basilicanum Grey, and I'm going to have both pots open at the same time here because I want to do a little wet blend on these big bones. And so I'm just starting with Basilicanum Grey at the base, and then I'm going to go up almost halfway, and then I clean off my brush, go into the Skeleton Horde, and then start from the top and work my way down just so it just meets that Basilicanum Grey. And then with my brush I'm just going to mix the two on the model, get a little bit more of that Skeleton Horde if you need it, and just blend it in. And there you can see we've got a nice wet blend going on. Now it's time for some Nuln oil shade, and this is going to go over the hair just to give a grey look to the hair. And so rather than using the contrast white paint and then doing a highlight, I thought I'd just see what would happen with the Nuln oil, and I think it worked really well for the fur and the hair here to give us a nice quick grey effect. I was really happy with how it turned out. Now I've gone back to the Contrast Aggaros Dunes because I left a little bit out here. I thought I'd give her like a leather effect on this little strap or bracelet. Then some Contrast Wildwood is going to be a nice dark brown that we can use for the wood of her stuff here. So a nice coat of that, and just be careful now because we've really almost finished the model, so just take your time filling this in. Now we're on to Contrast Tallasar Blue, a beautiful colour, and this is going to be for the eye. And I hate doing detailed things like this, but I've took my time, I've got that small brush still, and luckily with this eye there's a little line, like a groove in it, so the paint isn't going to go past that groove if you don't put too much paint on. So just be careful how much you put on your brush here, and I'm being so careful. I'm starting in the centre and then just gently working my way towards that little groove line, and then that's going to give a nice crisp finish really, so you don't have to be super precise here. Just take your time and work towards that little groove and you should get a really nice finish. Next we've got the Contrast Volupus Pink, another one of my favourite contrast colours. I love this colour, and I'm just going to do this for a little bit of the goriness of the eyes. And this is just going to help sell that idea that she's almost plucked her whole eye out and is holding it up, which is crazy. And next we've got the Abbadon Black. This is a base paint now. Got a little bit of blue tack on the end of my makeup brush there, and this is going to work as a nice little turntable so we can get stuck in and start painting the rim of the base now. So I do one thick coat, you might want to do two thin ones if you prefer. And there we go, there's our Godspeaker hag figure, all finished, painted to a tabletop ready standard, mostly contrast paints. I was really happy with how this turned out. For just one coat of paint, a tiny little bit of wet blending, I think we got some really nice results for the time it took to paint. I love this model. I think this eye is such a good feature. Plucking that out of her own face to hold up is just crazy. You could put a little bit of black if you wanted to in the centre, but I chose to just leave it as it is. But overall, a great looking miniature, and I'm really happy to have this in the collection. And here's all the models from the warband, all painted up. I used some different skin tones. I gave the female ones a kind of bright orange hair. But I think they worked out really nicely, and they all match the images as close as I could get it with the contrast paints. I'll put some affiliate links in the description below where you can save up to 20% on all the paints, and I'll put a list of those paints down there as well. And then here's the 3 models that I've done videos for, so if you want to check out the Darkoath, the Proven, and the Slaughterborn, they're up on the channel already too. You may also be interested in the Red Harvest terrain painting video I've done, and also I did a couple of videos looking at the new speed paints from Army Painter, so you can check out these 4 colours, they're up on the channel, and one of those was to paint this Christmas themed the Red Gobbo. Thanks so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope this gave you an idea of how you could get your miniatures painted really easily, but for some nice results with contrast paints. I'd love to hear your feedback, so let me know what you think about it in the comments section below. But for now, thanks so much for watching. Please like if you like it, subscribe for more videos like this, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to join me next time on Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'd like to say a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters who make these daily videos possible, and if you're interested in joining the community, it'd be awesome to see you there, and I'll put a link for that in the description down below.